All right, good morning, guys. Luke with Premium Aquatics here. I'm outside with my daughter Ella, taking a little bit of walk. We're thinking about what to do with the aquarium. It's very noisy. However, we've got someone following us. I don't know what he's doing. He's been behind us for like 2 or so blocks, but we're trying to figure out what's going on here. So I'm trying to figure out the aquarium. It's really noisy, and what I've got going on is air is mixing in with the drain, and so when it goes down, all that air is mixing with the water and causing a lot of noise, and it's getting in the way of enjoying it. And since I'm in the office a ton, he's following us. Let's go. Ah! Okay, so I'm in the backyard trying to get away from the car who's following us. It's funny, he's actually right over there, if you can tell him, in the bushes there, just hiding out. But what I'm trying to do is make my tank quieter. So I got to come up with some sort of plan to replumb it or figure out a plumbing way that's going to work best and make this as silent as possible. I know noise is extremely subjective. What's noisy for me may not be noisy for you, and vice versa, and everyone and their brother wants as quiet as possible of tank, but this is a little much for me, and I can handle water noises, and I wouldn't mind if it was more of a cascading waterfall, but this type of air gurgling mixture, I don't find it cool. So basically I have to figure out a way how I'm going to get this aquarium to be quiet so I can enjoy it and see it. What's your car's name? Herbie. 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 Okay, apparently getting hit by cars named Herbie gives you a little bit of insight to your tank. So watch out, anyone. If you need a little bit of know-how, if you need a little bit of enlightenment on your system, go ask someone to throw a car at you. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Herbie. I loved the movie. It was one of my favorites as a kid. I changed my boy's little Tyke's car and painted it to the Herbie coloration because why not, right? So this is what I'm going to be doing to my Overflow. I'm taking out this return. I'm going to make it a secondary emergency drain, and I'm going to utilize this piece that I made here as my new return. It's going to be going on the back right corner here of the tank, and it basically is just going to sit on like this. I did a terrible job with my glue on the acrylic work. It's ugly, but it gets the job done. It's a beast. It's going to look great over the system overall. I've got a hose barb in here to connect hose to it, make it very simple for connecting and taking off if I ever need to, and it's going to clean up some of my plumbing down below even. So it's going to be really nice. Basically, it's just going to sit on like this. I made this bracket so I didn't have to worry about this being able to move anywhere, yanking it out of the system. So I've got that built, and then I have the 2 little fishies 1-inch clamps. They are a plastic ratcheting clamp to clamp onto both sides of these. Highly recommend them if you're going to be using a clamp. Don't want to be using those metal brackets that you can get from like Home Depot or Lowe's, just because they are going to rust, being this is salt water. So I've got that. We have black vinyl flexible tubing. Highly recommend the black tubing. Keeps out the light, keeps out the sun. It means I'm not going to have algae growth in here and minimize anything else going on with this. So definitely take a look at that. We have a Spears gate valve, which is going to be going on the drain. I know that sounds like a recipe for disaster, but with the Herbie Overflow, that's what we need. And I'll explain all this in a little bit here. And then I have 2 strainers. One, just going to be a little bit of a backup in case something happens, but this is the strainer I want to use for this Herbie Overflow, so I have as much water draining as possible if I desire. So that's what I'll be doing. So let's go over what exactly is this Herbie Overflow that we talk about. It's obviously not a car, it's not an old movie. Let's go to the pen and paper so I can show you exactly what it's going to look like. Then I'll get it set up on the system and I'll show you in real life. you're going to need to get closer. All right, so just looking at a standard overflow box, we have the PVC return going back out into the tank, and then we also have our Durso standpipe or whatever you may have. So water is going to enter in the bottom of the teeth here, come into this overflow box, and then come around in the U-tube and go down into the sump. This part here is allowing for air to come in and mix with this water and create the noise that you commonly hear within sumps, like you may be able to hear now from mine. I want to make it as quiet as possible, and there are a few things you can do to help with it, but so far I just haven't found what works perfectly for me to make it as quiet as what I'd like to see. So we're going to take out this, we're going to take out this, and we're going to change it all up. And we're going to go to the Herbie, which is very simple as well. So this is basically the setup for a Herbie overflow. Our taller standpipe here, which is going to be our emergency, our smaller main drain. On this drain here, we're going to have a ball valve, or in my case, it's going to be the Spears gate valve. That is what I'm going to be adjusting at the start so that this line becomes completely flooded with water. It's below the surface. We'll have it about 6 inches below the top of this pipe. That way we can ensure that the line can get flooded and there's not going to be some sort of vortex pulling in air into this unit. I have my strainer that's going to be here. This is going to be the tall one, so I get as much flow draining as possible. This is just going to be standard PVC. The water level here is going to be at the very bottom of the teeth on the overflow plate, which is the height of the emergency pipe. We have 2 methods for this. We have the dry setup or the trickle. I will be using the trickle, or I'm going to start out with the trickle. If that doesn't work, then I'll go the dry. But the trickle method basically is saying that the water level inside the overflow box is going to be just high enough to cause a trickle down your emergency flow. Some people don't like to do this because they don't want water in here, they don't want algae growing or anything of that nature, so they leave it completely dry to ensure that whatever is flowing down the main drain, if this gets clogged up, your secondary emergency drain can handle all of that water. And if you have something going into it, if it's too much and you can't handle that on top of this, then you're in trouble. I'll get the air purged, and then I'll get the water level just above so it starts to trickle. And literally that's all we're going to be doing. My return is going to be that other bracket piece that I showed you, so that's going to be on the opposite side of the system, so I'll get really good circulation with this as well. Should reduce the noise 100%. I shouldn't really get any noise out of this. And something else I'll do to protect this pipe from getting any algae or growth or anything like that is I'm going to put a screen over top of it to protect from my light that I have up here. So I will combat that theory, and then we'll get this thing set up. Okay guys, it's all replumbed. If you can see over here, I've got a ton of plumbing that I've yanked out now because of this, and just how much I've been able to minimize because of where the return is, where the drain is, all in correspondence with where the sump, obviously my return pump's over here, with the return over here, I use so much less, a lot less head pressure back on it, so that makes that nice. The noise though, what I was really after, is amazing. Incredible. Let's just listen. You can hear a little bit my water as I'm moving around and shaking the water up here. It's going a little bit into the emergency overflow, so I can fine tune that, and I'll show you how to do it here in just a second when I go back and look at it with you. But mostly the water I'm getting sound now is as the water cascades over the baffle. I actually really like that. I find that type of noise peaceful. It's that water-air mixture gurgling, going nonstop, echoing up and down the PVC that drives me nuts. So it is a night and day difference. So if you have noise issues with your sump and water gurgling and all that stuff, and you just can't figure it out, consider this. Great options. It's not that expensive to get all these parts that I got. So take a look at the parts below. I'll leave a link in the description for everything that I used here, so you can take a look at it. But I'll take you off the tripod now and we'll go take a look at it here. I have my emergency, which is the blue pipe. And then I have that strainer that I showed you. It's working phenomenal. Then if we take you up here, you can see the magic where I have just a small drip. It's a little bit more now than what I had it before. But what I'll do here is, let's go down. I'll take you below here. This is what I have set up. Here's the gate valve. This is to the main drain. Here's my emergency. If I close this or open this, it'll affect the water level up here, which will then affect the noise. So if I go down here while you're looking at that and I open it up, the water now is going to go down further and I will lose my trickle. And as well, you'll start hearing noise from the cascading water through the baffle. So that's why we like to have it higher up. So if I close it again, the water will stop rising. If I go too far, and I'll just go too far to show you here, water will start going and pouring over all sides of that emergency flow. And you'll start hearing a lot of noise from that as well. So this is why you have to be a little bit careful with it so you can hear that. So that's annoying. So we just want either right at the level of it or the trickle that I talked about in the drawings earlier. I'm just going to show you real quick. Right now, water is going all around here, flowing in each side. It's noisy. You can listen and hear it. And so I'm just going to go down below here. I'm going to slowly turn the valve so you can just kind of see what happens as I turn this and the noise difference here. And just like that, we now only have it just cresting over here on this side, just a hair, and the noise level is gone completely. So now the only thing that's left to do is to create the screen for the top, which you can see there maybe. What I did was I actually just built a screen for this office window because I need to get some air circulating in here. It gets really hot with these lights, with the tank, so I need to get some air circulation going in this here, and it helps cool off the tank. So what I did is I have extra of this screen and I just basically cut off some of it and doubled it up. Then I just cut it to the size of the overflow box. The only thing I would probably change is get a little bit of that egg crate and you could glue it to that. That way you just have a nice removable piece. I cannot tell you how much I love this system. It's phenomenal now. I loved it before, but now that it's just about dead silent, it's amazing. I highly, highly recommend it. I'll show you the plumbing down below later. I've actually got a new piece of equipment that I semi-set up. That's for another video, so I'm not going to show you it yet because you got to stay tuned for that. But I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a great weekend as always. We'll see you next week. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications so you stay up to date on this tank as well as our other videos. We appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Some sort of solution as to how I'm going to. Oh my gosh, no. Stop, no.
What are you doing?
I'm doing a video.
Wow, that was really cool.